Can you hear me? All right, if you're a worker, would you please raise your hand? Yes, this is our day. This is International Worker Solidarity Day. So what I want to do before I say what I got here is on the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to raise your fist, your left fist, and I want you to yell solidarity, and I'm going to take 3 photographs as we do that. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, solidarity! On the count of 3, solidarity! I didn't count. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, solidarity! All right, thank you. All right, I don't know how to follow this wonderful woman called Rose, but I will. I'm a retired auto worker, and I was invited to talk about this poster right here, the green one, system change, not climate change. I want to talk about climate. This May Day, we face a full-blown crisis, the climate crisis, and it is workers and people of color who are most disproportionately impacted. It is workers and people of color who are going to have to organize, and rise up and take on the root cause, which is capitalism. We don't have a lot of time. The capitalists as a class are doing everything they can to deny that we face an imminent crisis. The same week that Russia invaded Ukraine, the preeminent climate scientists from around the world issued dire warnings. If we're to avoid the worst impacts of the climate crisis, we are, as a humanity, must demand that the corporations reduce their carbon emissions by 50% in just the next 8 years, and 100% by 2050. You may have noticed that the corporate media has disappeared the scientists' reports from the evening news about climate crisis in favor of wall-to-wall coverage about Russia's invasion. That is suicidal. The cover-up is so blatantly obvious. Consider that the name Anthony Fauci has become a household word in connection with the COVID-19 epidemic. When it comes to the climate crisis, who is the equivalent of an Anthony Fauci? There is none, and that's deliberate. They want to keep their oil and gas flowing, their coal burning, and their profits soaring. If we're going to remain loyal to workers on May Day, we must commit to exposing their criminality and breaking through their wall of silence. We can all do that by talking with our neighbors and co-workers about the connection between the horrific weather events all around us and the growing climate crisis that capitalism is responsible for. I know that what makes it so hard is that our conversations are already filled, like we can see today, but to the brim with a crisis of war and trillion-dollar military budgets, of police brutality and rising violence, home evictions, low wages, lack of public transportation, and I could go on, but you get the idea. These issues will be compounded by catastrophic weather events. The flooding we in Detroit experienced just last year is a good place to start. Try to wrap your mind around just a few statistics. June 21st, Detroit experienced a 100-year flood event, followed by 3 tornadoes. In July, the city flooded again. And on August 11th, extreme weather caused power outages across Metro Detroit for nearly 1 million people. These disasters damaged homes and vehicles and brought sewage up into basements and waterways. You'll remember I-94 turning into a river. These massive flooding events have occurred at least 4 times in Detroit since 2016. The last 100-year storm was in 2014. Imagine 2 storms in just the last 5 years that is supposed to only happen once every 100 years. For all of Michigan, extreme storms where there's 2 or more inches of precipitation per day increased from 1964 to 2014 by 128%. For the entire Great Lakes region, the projections are that we're going to get wetter over time. We're going to have longer periods of drought punctuated by more extreme weather events. And as we all well know, Detroit doesn't have the infrastructure necessary to handle all that influx of water. So not only does the addiction to fossil fuel profits bring on this crisis, it also is preventing us from protecting ourselves from the consequences. So let me just say, if any of you have heard me in the past, I've always talked about trying to converge our movements together to take on this audacious crisis that we have. And one of the ways we can do that, and what's very interesting, is that the UAW, the sleepy, corrupt UAW, recently filed a lawsuit with environmental groups against the U.S. Postal Service. And I think the guy's name is General Louis DeJoy, the Postmaster General. He's a hangover from the Trump regime, that he wants to build 150,000 new postal vehicles to replace the aging fleet that we have today. And he wants to do this under the Joe Biden government in a non-union plants and with gasoline-powered internal combustion engines. And we have to say, no, no more, not in our name. And the UAW is showing some light and actually taking this on. And I think that it has the possibilities that if we demand that the postal vehicles be powered electrically and be union made, that is the proper direction that we need to go to begin to even scratch the surface on the question of climate change. So we say, make them union, and we say make them electric. No more internal combustion engines, not in our postal service, not with our tax money. Thank you. Thank you very much. And let's all say it together. Solidarity. Solidarity. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah.